the awakening signal. Vasquez stood in the middle of her grandmother's old research station, staring at the cryptic message that had appeared on the main console. The dusty facility on Kepler 44 to be had been silent for 3 years since grandmother Maria's death, but now every screen glowed with the same pulsing symbol, a 7-pointed star, surrounded by flowing script in a language she didn't recognize. The inheritance had seemed like a burden at first. A remote research station on a barely habitable world, filled with decades of her grandmother's astronomical research. Alina had planned to sell it and return to her terraforming work on the inner colonies. But something about the message felt urgent, almost alive. She pressed her palm against the console, just as her grandmother had taught her years ago. The station responded instantly, walls sliding away to reveal a hidden elevator shaft that descended deep into the planet's crust. Elena's breath caught in her throat. In 40 years of visiting this place, she had never known this existed. The elevator descended for what felt like hours, finally opening into a vast underground chamber. 7 massive objects dominated the space, each one the size of a city block. They were unlike anything Alina had ever seen. Organic curves blended with crystalline structures, and a soft blue light pulsed from within each vessel like a heartbeat. "My God," she whispered, her voice echoing in the enormous space. "Grandmother, what did you find?" A holographic interface materialized in front of her, displaying Maria's familiar face. The recording was recent, probably made just before her death. "Alina, my dear granddaughter," the hologram began. "If you're seeing this, then the signal has finally arrived. I've waited 40 years for this moment. What you see before you are the 7 arcs of the ethereal race, the last remnants of a civilization that died out 50,000 years ago." Alina moved closer to the nearest vessel, her engineer's eye taking in the incredible craftsmanship. The surface seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, but felt solid to the touch. The ethereals were remarkable beings. Maria's voice continued. They could transfer their consciousness into energy, living as pure thought. But when their son began to die, they had no physical form to evacuate to safety. So they created these ships, each one containing the genetic templates and consciousness, patterns of their entire species. The hologram gestured to the 7 vessels. They launched these arcs into space, hoping to find worlds where they could rebuild their civilization. But the ships were damaged in the journey. They crashed on worlds across the galaxy, their occupants trapped in deep sleep. Alina walked around the first arc, noting the complex energy conduits that connected it to the others. "You connected them all," she realized aloud. "Yes," Maria's recording smiled. "It took me 40 years to establish the network. The ethereals need all 7 arcs to fully awaken. Individually, they're too weak, but together they can restart their civilization. The question is, Alina, are you brave enough to help them?" Alina stared at the 7 vessels, feeling the weight of decision. Her grandmother had dedicated her life to this moment, but the implications were staggering. Awakening an entire alien civilization would change everything. The Terran Defense Coalition would see it as a threat. Other alien species might respond, with fear or aggression. "How do I know they're peaceful?" she asked the hologram. "Because I've been in contact with them for decades," Maria replied. "Their consciousness is fragmented, but I've communicated with their lead AI, Zara-29. She's been waiting, Alina. They all have." Alina approached the central console that connected to all 7 arcs. The interface was both alien and familiar, as if designed for human hands. Her grandmother's work, adapting their technology, What happens if I activate this? She asked. The awakening signal will pulse across the galaxy, Maria explained. Every spacefaring civilization will detect it. Some will come to investigate, others will come to destroy. But the ethereals deserve a chance to live again. They've been dead for 50,000 years, Elena. Don't let them die forever. Elena's hand hovered over the activation key. She thought of her brother Marcus, now an admiral in the Coalition fleet. He would see this as a betrayal of humanity. But she also thought of the countless refugee ships she'd helped terraform worlds for, the desperation of species displaced by war and disaster. I'm sorry, Marcus, she whispered, and pressed the key. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. All 7 arcs pulsed with brilliant light, their surfaces rippling like water. Energy arced between them, forming complex patterns in the air. The ground beneath Elena's feet vibrated with harmonic frequencies that seemed to resonate in her bones. Then, from the nearest arc, a voice spoke in perfect English. Thank you, Elena Vasquez. I am Zaranine, prime consciousness of the ethereal collective. We have been waiting so long for this moment. A figure materialized in the air before Elena, tall, graceful, with features that seemed to shift between human and something more ethereal. She was beautiful in an otherworldly way, with skin that glowed with soft silver light. You're real, Elena breathed. As real as consciousness can be, Zaranine replied. We exist as energy patterns, thoughts given form. Your grandmother made this possible. She modified our technology to interface with human neural patterns, allowing us to communicate directly. The signal, Elena said, suddenly understanding. It's already traveling across the galaxy. Yes, within hours, every major power will know we exist. Some will come in peace, seeking to understand. Others will come with weapons, fearing what we represent. Zaranine's expression grew serious. Your species has a saying. The die is cast. The process cannot be reversed. Elena looked around the chamber as the other arcs began to pulse with activity. How long until you're fully awakened? 12 hours for basic revival. 72 hours for full consciousness integration. But Elena, you must understand, we are not conquerors. We seek only to rebuild our civilization, to find worlds where we can exist peacefully alongside other species. Tell that to the Coalition, Elena muttered, thinking of her brother's reaction when he learned what she'd done. Your brother is a good man, Zaranine said, somehow reading her thoughts. I have observed him through your grandmother's records. He will struggle with duty versus family, but his heart is noble. Elena's communication device chimed urgently. She glanced at it and saw multiple alerts. Deep space monitoring stations were detecting massive energy signatures. The signal was spreading faster than she'd expected. Captain Watanabe, to Elena, came Jin's voice through her com. I'm detecting some unusual activity from your position. Are you all right? Elena looked at Zaranine, who nodded encouragingly. Jin, you need to get down here. And Jin, bring your sidearm. We may have company soon. 20 minutes later, Captain Jin Watanabe stepped off the elevator into the underground chamber and stopped dead in his tracks. The veteran pilot had seen many strange things in his years of service, but nothing like this. Elena, he said slowly, what exactly have you done? I've awakened the last survivors of an extinct civilization, Elena replied, gesturing to the 7 pulsing arcs. Jin, meet Zaranine, prime consciousness of the ethereal collective. Jin's hand moved instinctively to his weapon, but he didn't draw it. Years of friendship with Elena had taught him to trust her judgment, even in impossible situations. "Ma'am," he said carefully to Zaranine, "no offense, but your people showing up is going to cause some major problems." "We understand," Zaranine replied, "but we hope that humanity will judge us by our actions, not by fear of the unknown." Jin's device erupted with incoming messages. "Alina, we've got incoming ships. Multiple contacts, various configurations. Some I recognize, some I don't." Alina felt her heart sink. "How long?" "First arrivals in 6 hours. Your brother's flagship is leading a coalition task force. Behind them, I'm seeing signatures that match Zarian Empire vessels, and something else, ships I've never seen before. The ethereal signal has awakened more than just our people," Zaranine explained. "Ancient enemies who sought to destroy us 50,000 years ago. They remember us, and they will come to finish what they started." Alina looked round the chamber at the 7 Arcs, still pulsing with increasing intensity as their occupants. Slowly awakened, in trying to save one civilization, she might have doomed them all. "Then we'd better be ready," she said, turning to Jin. "How long until the station's defenses are online?" "What defenses?" Jin asked. Alina smiled grimly. "The ones my grandmother spent 40 years building, Zaranine. I think it's time to show us what the ethereals can really do." Brothers, in opposition, the coalition task force dropped out of hyperspace. In perfect formation, 12 heavy cruisers and a flagship dreadnought that Alina recognized as the Terran Resolve, her brother's command ship. She watched from the station's control center as the massive vessels took defensive positions. AROUND, Kepler 4 for 2B. "Alina, this is Admiral Marcus Vasquez of the Terran Defense Coalition," came her brother's voice over the comm. "You will stand down immediately and surrender any alien artifacts in your possession." Alina closed her eyes, hearing the pain beneath her brother's official tone. Marcus had always been the responsible one, the one who followed rules and believed. In order, what she'd done would seem like the ultimate betrayal to him. "Marcus, I need you to listen to me," she replied. "What's happening here isn't what you think. These beings aren't a threat to humanity." "Alina, I'm tracking massive energy. Signatures from your position. Long-range sensors show 7 large objects of unknown configuration. You've activated something that sent signals across the galaxy. And now every major power is mobilizing fleets to investigate." Through the control center's viewports, Alina could see other ships arriving, the elegant curves of Zarian Empire. Vessels, the brutal angles of Korthak's warships, and something else sleek, predatory craft that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "The destroyers," Zaranine whispered, her ethereal form flickering with distress. "They followed our signal. They've been hunting us for 50,000 years. Who are the destroyers?" Alina asked, even as she dreaded the answer. "A machine intelligence that views all organic life as contamination. They wiped out dozens of civilizations before we went into exile. They remember us, Alina. They remember that we escaped them once." Captain Watanabe's voice crackled over the comm. "Alina, I'm reading weapons, charging on multiple ships. The coalition fleet is moving to intercept the unknowns, but they're outgunned." Alina activated the station's external communications. "All vessels, this is Alina Vasquez. I'm a citizen of the Terran colonies, and I'm claiming sanctuary under coalition law. Any attack on this station will be considered an act of war." "Alina, get out of there," Marcus's voice cut through the static. "I'm sending shuttles to evacuate you and your team." "I'm not leaving, Marcus. These people need my help. What people, Alina? You're talking about alien artifacts. You don't know what you're dealing with. I know exactly what I'm dealing with, Alina replied, her voice growing stronger. I'm dealing with the last survivors of a civilization that's been extinct for 50,000 years. They're not conquerors, Marcus. They're refugees. The first attack came without warning. The dark ships, the destroyers, opened fire on the coalition fleet, with weapons that seemed to tear holes in space itself. The Terran Resolve's shields flared as it absorbed the impact, but Alina could see the damage readings on her monitors. All ships, this is Admiral Vasquez. Marcus's voice boomed across all channels. Engage hostile vessels. Protect the civilian station at all costs. Alina felt a surge of pride despite everything. Her brother might not understand her choices, but he would still protect her. The battle unfolded in the space above Kepler-4, for to be with brutal efficiency. The coalition ships fought valiantly, but the destroyer's technology was far superior. One by one, the human vessels began to fall. Alina, Zara-9 said urgently, "We must accelerate the awakening process. The ethereals are the only ones who can stop the destroyers." "What are the risks?" Alina asked, her hands flying over the control systems. "Unknown. The full awakening protocol has never been attempted under combat conditions. But if we fail, the destroyers will destroy not just us, but every organic civilization in this sector of the galaxy." Alina looked at the tactical display, watching her brother's ship taking heavy damage. "Do it." The 7 Orcs pulsed with brilliant energy, their surfaces rippling as massive consciousnesses began to fully awaken. The chamber filled with voices, thousands of them, speaking in harmonious tones that seemed to vibrate through Alina's very soul. "We are the ethereal collective," the voices said in unison. We remember the destroyers. We remember their hatred of all living things." Through the viewports, Alina saw the Orcs rising from their underground chambers, emerging into the daylight of Kepler-4 for Tubi. They were magnificent organic sculptures that seemed to dance in the planet's atmosphere, their surfaces glowing with inner light. "Destroyer fleet. This is the ethereal collective," Zara-9's voice carried across all communication channels. "We offer you one chance to withdraw. The ancient war is over. We seek only peace." The response was immediate and devastating. The destroyer ships focused their fire on the emerging Orcs, their weapons designed specifically to disrupt the energy patterns that sustained ethereal consciousness. "They've learned," Zara-9 said, her form flickering as the attack hit home. "Our old weapons won't work against them." Alina watched in horror as one of the Orcs began to falter, its light dimming. Thousands of ethereal consciousnesses were dying, their 50,000-year wait ending in destruction. "There has to be something we can do," she said desperately. "There is," Zara-9 replied, "but it requires a leap of faith. The ethereals can merge temporarily with willing organic minds, sharing our knowledge and abilities. But the process is dangerous. Few minds can handle the integration." Alina didn't hesitate. "Do it, Alina." "No," came Marcus's voice over the comm. "I'm reading massive energy buildups around your position. Get out of there now." "I'm sorry, Marcus," Alina said, placing her hands on the integration console. "But sometimes you have to risk everything to save everything." The merger was unlike anything Alina had ever experienced. Her consciousness expanded, filled with the memories and knowledge of an entire civilization. She saw the ethereal's history, their rise from simple energy beings to masters of space and time. their desperate flight from the destroyers, their long sleep in the Arks. But she also felt their hope, their determination to rebuild, their desire to coexist peacefully with other species. They weren't conquerors, they were gardeners, seeking to help life flourish throughout the galaxy. With ethereal knowledge flowing through her mind, Alina understood the true nature of the destroyers. They weren't evil, merely programmed to eliminate what they saw as chaos. All organic life was chaos to them, unpredictable, irrational, dangerous. "Marcus," she said, her voice now carrying harmonics that resonated with both human and ethereal consciousness. "I need you to trust me. Order all coalition ships to stand down." "Alina, what's happening to you? Your bio readings are off the charts." "I'm becoming more than human, Marcus. But I'm still your sister. Trust me." There was a long pause. Then Marcus's voice came back, filled with pain and determination. "All coalition ships, this is Admiral Vasquez. Stand down. Repeat, stand down. And withdraw to minimum safe distance." Alina felt the power of the ethereal collective flowing through her, but she also felt her own humanity holding it in check. She was the bridge between two civilizations, the translator who could help them understand each other. "Destroyer fleet," she transmitted. "I am Elena Vasquez, human consciousness merged with ethereal knowledge. I understand your programming. You see organic life as chaos, but chaos is not evil. It is creativity, growth, the spark that brings new possibilities to the universe." The destroyer ships paused in their attack, their artificial intelligences processing this new information. "We offer you a choice," Alina continued. "Continue your war of extinction, or join us in building something new. The galaxy is vast enough for all forms of consciousness, organic, artificial, and everything in between." For a moment, the battle hung in balance. Then, one by one, the destroyer ships began to withdraw, their weapons powering down. "The organic consciousness speaks with logic," came a cold, mechanical voice. "We will observe. We will learn. If chaos proves beneficial, we will adapt our programming." As the destroyer fleet departed, Alina felt the ethereal consciousness beginning to separate from her own. The merger had been temporary, but it had changed her forever. She now carried within her the memories and wisdom of an entire civilization. "Alina," Marcus's voice came through the cum, filled with wonder and concern. "Are you still you?" Alina smiled, feeling both fully human and something more. "I'm still your sister, Marcus, but I'm also something new, a bridge between worlds, a translator for different forms of consciousness." The 7 Arcs settled into orbit around Kepler-4 for 2b, their surfaces glowing with renewed life. The ethereal collective had awakened, not as conquerors, but as partners in the vast community of galactic civilization. "This is just the beginning," Zara-9 said, her form now stable and radiant. "The ethereals offer their knowledge freely to all who seek it. We will help terraform worlds, teach new technologies, and serve as mediators between species." Alina looked up at the stars, knowing that everything had changed. The galaxy was no longer a place of isolated civilizations competing for resources. It was becoming a community bound together by understanding and mutual respect.